Hello,
Good morning.
I'm Kimberly,
I'm Jen, and this is that
and this
Vegan
is that
Morning Show.
Vegan Morning Show. Good morning. Oh my
Good.
goodness, it's Monday already.
It is. Hang on one second. I'm like semi-distracted because I'm messaging our guest. So sorry, I'm looking away. Kimberly, why don't you start by telling us about the amazing weekend that we both got to share together virtually?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So this weekend was another weekend of our Main Street Vegan Academy that Jen and I are both enrolled in. That is created and run by Victoria Moran, the incredible author of so many books like Main Street Vegan, where the name of the program has come from, plus her latest book called Age Like a Yogi. And, yesterday during one of our sessions, Victoria was talking about public speaking. And I just wanted to share an experience I had when I saw Victoria speak late last year. She was promoting her book, Age Like a Yogi. And one of the things that she talked about was not being afraid to get physical when she was giving us our tips and tricks yesterday. And I just wanted to tell you about Victoria and how she got physical during this Age Like a Yogi talk. So we're at a library in New York, like Yonkers or something out there, and it's a big room. And she's by a podium, and she does move around. She uses the stage a little bit. She's got her presentation up, and she talks about how we should be able to move in our bodies even at the age of 75. Victoria is 75. She's not shy about sharing that. And she stood.
I think that's our guest
Go
calling me,
ahead.
so
You can
continue,
mute, and I'll
I'm
keep
going
talking. So Victoria stands in the middle of the room, and she talks about sitting down and then getting back up without using your hands. And she does just that. Victoria sits down on the floor, and then she stands back up. She doesn't use her hands. She uses her legs and the momentum of her body to get back up at 75. And it's really interesting because so often we feel like, one, as we get older, we shouldn't be able to do that, but it's absolutely not true. You can 100% do that when you're taking care of yourself, when you're aging like a yogi. But it was just a really fun memory that I had when Victoria was talking about, how we can show up and how we can do public speaking. And it was just a really fun and like funny moment to remember that.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Okay, I'm just going to mute. Okay. So I see, we'll just let Jen come back. Hey, Donna. I'll unmute you now.
Really early for me.
Yeah. What time is it where you are, Donna?
It's 7 o'clock, 7 a.m.
Okay.
But that's
Yeah.
early for me. I get up like 8. I've been up for a couple hours, but because I couldn't sleep. But anyway, it's all good.
Thank you for covering, Kimberly. Well,
yes, thank you for covering because I had the old link, and then we're all good. We're all
That's
good.
the beauty of live TV, right? Sometimes you have to like pivot and everything. But Donna, we're so happy that you're here with us early. Kimberly, was there something you needed to finish?
Oh, no.
Sharing with our audience?
Nope, timing was perfect.
Good.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest?
Absolutely. Let me go pull up my intro that I had prepared.
Can I
All right. So today our special guest is Donna Zeigfinger of Green Earth Travel, which provides comprehensive vegan travel planning and consulting. Donna is a trailblazer in the travel industry with over 3 decades of travel industry expertise. She's recognized the need for more conscious, compassionate travel options, which led her to create Green Earth Travel in 1997. Green Earth Travel focuses on destinations that make a difference and helps clients craft travel experiences that are kind to animals, the planet, and local communities. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you. How are you guys doing this morning?
We're good. It's early, yeah. No, we're good. Kimberly was just sharing about our weekend we're doing Victoria Moran's course, Main Street Vegan Academy. So we had
Ooh,
a
that's
very,
exciting.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
been wonderful. So we had a very full weekend, Saturday and Sunday, learning all kinds of amazing things. So Kimberly was sharing about that while I was helping you get connected. Yeah, so it's been a great time. We're learning a lot. We're really excited to have you here. You were on my show, The Confident Vegan, over the
Right.
summer, and we had a great conversation on vegan travel. And we thought it would be great to have you here to talk about that, because it's the end of the year. I can't believe we're in November already. And people are starting to plan their vacations. And who better to have on to talk about planning a vacation vegan style but you? So
Well, things are changing. I'm hoping that we're going to have a great Thanksgiving, but we have to be a little leery what's going on. But I won't talk about that today. That's not going to be it. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning,
morning,
Richard.
Richard.
Thanks for being here.
So Donna, is there a little more you'd like to share about yourself before we ask you some more questions about vegan travel?
Yeah, so I became vegan in 1983 when there was, people didn't understand what that word was. And I was working at an animal shelter at the time, and I worked for somebody named Ingrid Newkirk, which some of you may know who she is. It took about a year, but she got to me. And she'd throw things on my desk, just kind of nonchalantly, as she does. And then it was about a year and a half later, I decided to become vegan. I didn't go to vegetarian. I just went vegan. And then about a year or so later, I became a travel agent. And I had a lot of friends at that time that were vegan. And so they would, at that time, during those time periods, there was no internet. So people were loyal to whoever they used, whether it was their hairdresser, realtor, travel agent. So, I had a bunch of friends that were vegan that were using my services. It was very difficult to find vegan places for people to go to. So I had to rely on other friends of mine who had been to certain countries. I'd look in magazines to see if there were like bed and breakfasts, and it would take me months to find out all this information if somebody wanted to go overseas. It wasn't that easy. Fast forward to now, you can go anywhere, right? And do anything. But, but I'm going to backtrack a little bit. What really made me get involved in vegan travel was, I think it was 1990. Yeah, it was 1990. I approached the director, or the person who was the head of the March for the Animals. And he said, yeah, we'll take you on as a travel agent. And so I brought in somewhere around 3,000 people to Washington, D.C., and I had arranged for like 10 hotels and a campsite. Right? And I think I even had a youth hostel thrown in there somewhere, which I don't work with. I'll be there. That was the only time I worked with them. So it kind of took off from there because people held on to my name and my card. Then I think it was 1994, the Washington Post did an article about me, and that really took off. And also the Vegetarian Times, which was like the only magazine at the time, also did an article about my company like a year later. So that's how I really got started on that. And it just kind of grew from there. So things are much easier. You don't have to write to somewhere in Europe to find out if they can do bed and breakfast vegan style. You can just go online and find out and email them. But that's what I've been doing for the past 40 years in a nutshell.
It's really exciting. I love how we can see not just your progression through, but kind of how the world has changed as you were working through and serving in this role as a travel agent, and
Right.
going from needing to write letters to
Right.
and hope you hear back in a timely fashion, and people are
Right.
like waiting and waiting to go on vacation, and now you send an email and you find out almost instantly, or it's on their
Yeah.
website, or you
Yeah.
know, and it's easier to make international calls now.
Right. Well, in fact, I even would have some other non-vegetarian agents that would go away. They'd find a restaurant that would have vegan food or would be a vegan or vegetarian. They didn't really have vegan restaurants back then, but a vegetarian restaurant, and they'd bring me back their their business cards or whatever, and that's how I got that was my internet back then.
I remember life before internet, and it's like, now we're so used to having it, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, at one point we didn't have all this information at our fingertips. You had to go to the library. You had to
Right.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
really look things up.
Yeah. On paper.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm feeling a little old now.
Feeling a little old? Yeah, I feel very old. But yeah, it's quite a difference. And for about 20 something years, I was the only vegan. There was one vegan travel agent, but he didn't last very long, or he was only in it for a couple of years. But I was the only vegan travel agency for many, many years, up until maybe 10 years ago.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's when they all started popping out. And now there's vegan travel agents everywhere.
Wow. And what been your most challenging destination to plan a completely vegan itinerary for?
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh yeah, what was your most challenging destination to plan a completely vegan itinerary for?
I would say Alaska at that time. It's not anymore. Um, I used to think that Eastern Europe would be difficult, and it was. It's no longer. I just came back from Poland, and I've been to Croatia, and it's very, very easy now. But back then it was really, really difficult. So I would have to say, if anything, it's going to be something like Antarctica, where even the cruise ships that go there will have vegan options, but it's not going to be as plentiful. So yeah, I would probably put that as one. I'm trying to think of any others. I don't go to those countries, so I don't know where they where they are. Which ones are really bad at this time. I just know the really good ones.
I heard Iceland is challenging to go to. I know someone who went
It
there
used to be.
before. Oh,
It's
it used
not.
to be.
It's
Oh,
not anymore.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's
good to
become
know.
very vegan friendly.
Nice.
In fact, I'm thinking about doing a group trip there next year.
Ooh, I would love to go to Iceland one day.
I would-
Me and my husband, it's like one of our like top destinations to
Yeah,
go
it's
to
on my
one day.
bucket list. But then the other place I was also thinking is Greenland, and I'd have to look into how vegan friendly it is there,
Mm.
because I haven't been yet. Yeah.
We talk so much about the food piece of it. People are like, oh, you're vegan. What are you going to eat when you go to this place?
Mhm.
But it's so much more than that, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain to our viewers what ethical travel means as a whole?
For me, it means not using animals for entertainment. So let's say the hotel has swimming with the dolphins, or a lot of times they'll have parrots in small cages, or they'll have flamingo. Some of the things you can't avoid. Like I was at a place that had flamingos. They weren't caged or anything, but it was still like a very strange thing to see. But feather pillows, wool blankets, all that stuff, if you're serious about it, has to be taken into. Even leather seats. But I think that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge, because most hotels, unless they take it out ahead of time, they'll have, what are they going to do with a chair? So, but wool blankets and feather pillows can be replaced with, the feather pillows are almost a thing of the past right now, although it still does exist. So they have the alternatives in there a lot. People have, allergies, so they have to. And same thing with blankets, because some of the blankets are the quilted blankets with the feathers in them. So you have to be careful of that stuff and make sure that the hotel knows that you don't like that stuff. Another thing would be toiletries. I'm sorry, I have like an itch on my face here. I need a haircut. I'm desperate for a haircut. Where was I?
Toiletries.
Yeah, toiletries. I bring my toiletries because I don't always trust what they have. I mean, there's certain hotels I do and certain cruise lines that I trust will have that, but the majority of the time I just take my stuff, all my toiletries, whether it's soaps, shampoos, conditioner, lotions, all that stuff. I bring in a bag with me and I take it. I just take as much as I need for the week or however long I'm going for. But I'm sorry, I keep getting these clicks here. But yeah, and a big thing for me is the animals in the entertainment. I will steer people away from them and tell them, the elephant rides, they're still doing it, but a lot of the big tour operators cut them out of their trips, which was great that they did that. They stopped doing that. There's only one in Thailand. I think there's really only one elephant rescue place that I would say is legitimate. And off the top of my head, it's the Elephant Park, I believe. I'd have to look it up and let you know the exact name of it. Because again, I'm not used to being up this early. So my brain's not fully functional. So
it's all good. I was disappointed to see Lewis Hamilton, who, he's been on Hot Ones and he talks about, he ate vegan wings and he encouraged people to stop eating chicken. And he has been very vocal about his vegan lifestyle. And he's a Formula One race car driver. I'm sorry, in case anyone who doesn't know who he is. And he was in Egypt earlier this year and he posted photos riding camels. And I was so disappointed by that. And so it's still available. And some people who are vegan, call themselves vegan, still don't make that connection. So I'm really excited to hear that you are not just booking people in places that don't have animals for entertainment, but you're also making it clear that that's something
right.
that you look for and you're not doing.
Right.
So that was exciting to hear about.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, some people think like the guy that you were just talking about, they think that the camels are taken really good care of and blah, blah, blah. And they don't see the background of it. That's what they've been told. So they just trust the tour operator and that's it. You have to do more research than that, and see, because a lot of times it'll be online saying, these people are horrible. There's a place in the Bahamas that's Swimming with the Pigs. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah.
They swear up and down that these pigs are taken care of, but in reality, they're not. First off, they basically keep the babies out there because they're cute and cuddly, and I think they do away with the adults at some point, and don't quote me on this. So, but I also know that people have been bitten by these pigs because they're so hungry that they're coming to people for food, and that's part of the experience is feeding the pigs. They'll be bitten, we give them diseases, and it's this whole long thing that I don't understand why people like doing this. I mean, I guess I could see it if they actually were in the wild and they were really wild, but they're not wild animals, so they're not boars or anything like that can live on their own. They have to be fed by somebody. So
that's really sad. And also the same thing too with dolphins. Like there's dolphins where it's like, well, they're not being harmed, but they're still being exploited, right?
Right.
Like where they're more in a free swimming environment. Like
Right.
that's still problematic too because they're being touched, they're being, and who knows what again what you were saying, they could be exposed to things
Right.
from
Well,
people.
there is one place, it's called Wild Quest. I was supposed to go on one of their trips years and years ago. They actually will tell you they do swimming with the dolphins kind of thing, but it's the dolphins on their own terms. So yes, you could say it's still exploiting, but if that dolphin doesn't want to come to you, they don't, you know, and that's how it should be if we're going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that, that's something like that's a little bit better.
Right.
It's definitely a delicate fine line,
Yes.
and circling back to what you were saying before about leather, right? And Kimberly and I have talked about this before. Like we live in a non-vegan world, so it's like
Right.
just doing the best you can. Like we did an episode a while back where we were talking about fashion and we were talking about vegan bowling shoes, right? and right, these are like the little things you don't think of sometimes,
Right.
and you just have to do the best you can.
Right.
And obviously, a hotel chain that's not catering solely to vegans is going to probably have leather furniture and other stuff. But I feel like as vegans, as long as we're making that effort,
Right.
that's the important part. And by
Right.
vocalizing these things to these places, they're going to become aware of the need
Right.
as well.
Right. As I mentioned, I was in Poland in September, and the hotel, it was a group of us. It was a small group of 8 people, and we requested vegan breakfast every morning, and they went over and above everything. I mean, I couldn't finish it every morning because it was so big and plentiful. And of course, some of the non-vegan, not people in our group were kind of sneaking in the vegan food because they thought it was better. I don't know. I'm assuming so, but I'm hoping that they understand that yes, there is a need for it, and maybe they'll incorporate it in their hotel, in their restaurants, in the hotels.
Yeah.
I know years ago, it was around 2009, I was taking people to Best Friends Sanctuary, and we were we would go to Best Friends and volunteer for a couple of days, and then we would go to Zion National Park, and there was a hotel there called Flanagan's, and they had never had vegans in there, and they made vegan scramble, tofu scramble, and it took off so well that they kept it on their menu, at least for a while. So, and that was in 2009.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Is Jen frozen?
I think so. We'll keep going. She'll find her way back.
Yeah, or she fell asleep. I'm not sure.
Donna, what are your top 3 destinations for vegan travelers that might surprise people?
I would say, and again, it's probably changing and changed throughout the years, but I would say that Belize is one of my top favorite ones. Oh, she dropped out. Okay. And then Kenya, which I thought was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Both those places have a large Indian population, so there's a lot of vegetarian stuff, so it's very easy for them to make it vegan. But the funny part about Kenya, I was there in 2001, so I'm sure it's even gotten better, but I told them ahead of time. I was on a travel agent trip, and I told them ahead of time that I was vegan and what vegan was and all this stuff. And I really thought I was going to lose weight, which was not going to be a bad thing for me at that time, but still. And I got to all the hotels. Each hotel had a vegetarian table there. So they were feeding me a breakfast. They would serve me a breakfast. And then all of a sudden I'd see a table over there that was strictly vegetarian / vegan. And I didn't lose any weight. I put on weight.
I think we're always thinking that, like, oh, on vacation, we're going to be walking so much more. And there's no way there'll be enough vegan food for me to gain weight. I'm gonna lose weight. I think that's
Right.
such a common thing. Yeah. And then we get home, we're like, oh no, we did
It
lose.
it actually did happen in 1994. We were on our honeymoon and we went to South Africa. And I know that South Africa has really changed a lot. Um, but there was hardly anything for me to eat there. So I did eat, I did lose weight there. They had just like overly cooked vegetables. It was just not, it was not good, but it's changed a lot. And we did go at that time to the one vegetarian restaurant.
So you mentioned Belize and Kenya. What's your third one?
I'm trying to remember the third surprising one.
Yeah. Or your favorite if you don't have another surprising one.
I mean, Ireland has come a long way, and some people will say it's not friendly out in the countryside. Well, that might be true, but it's still gotten much, much better than it was. I've seen it progress. I think the first time we went was in 1999. I've been about 6 or 7 times now. And each time I go, it just progressively gets better and better and better. It's amazing. We went on a vegan walking tour, So yeah. And I would also have to say that Poland and Germany were nice surprises for me too.
Okay.
I mean, I knew that Berlin was very friendly, vegan friendly. I just didn't realize that there would be a vegan restaurant on every corner.
Wow.
And Poland has gotten to be almost the same. I mean, it's gotten to be very vegan friendly. Sorry, my cat has jumped up to look out the window. They're all,
Never apologize for your friends showing up.
I'll be right back. I think my computer can work again. Sorry, been having internet issues.
Okay.
Here I go.
It's in the morning.
Yeah.